meeting of the Parkside Borough Council in September. If you would all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Roman,
Here.
President Guy,
Here.
Vice President Costa,
Here.
Mr. Ball,
Here.
Mr. Powell, Mr. Sidlow,
I'm here.
Ms. Percival.
Here.
Mr. Swigert. Here. Mr. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Tang.
Here.
Ms. Stillwell.
Here.
Ms. Matagi.
Here.
Mr. Karankovitz.
Here.
Ms. Morris.
Here.
Chief.
And the chief.
Chief Burke.
He's not on my list.
He's here too.
He's never been on my list.
Sorry, we'll
My
say hi.
apologies.
Point of order, the chief's here.
My apologies.
All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the August special council meeting minutes? Are there any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the special meeting in August.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And for the August regular monthly council meeting, acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Correspondence, Mr. Platt?
This is a public statement of no intent to bid. Madam President, Madam Mayor, Parkside Council. Brookhaven Borough Council has authorized a public statement that will be delivered via the official Brookhaven Borough Facebook page that will show no interest in bidding for Parkside Borough's fire coverage. Nor have we since some discussions took place some 10 years ago, 5 years prior to the service of most of the current councils. Note that with mutual aid, Parkside residents shall be in no greater danger in the event of emergencies, as Brookhaven and the surrounding stations will fulfill the mutual aid agreements. Such scenarios are in the unlikely event that the Parkside Fire Department will dissolve. It is everyone's hope that this does not occur. The public statement will not include any reason, but I may add that the consensus is that any agreement with Parkside Council would degrade an already strained relationship between the Brookhaven Council and two of your council members and mayor. We will not put our fire department in their sights, nor will we subject ourselves to further unnecessary strain. On behalf of the Brookhaven Borough Council, we wish you all well and hope for the best outcome for the Parkside Fire Department. Terry Heller, Council President, Brookhaven Borough. That's it.
Excellent. And so we will move on to the mayor's report.
Okay. Crimes reported in August. Illegal firearm possession is 1. Calls of service were 210. Most prevalent were medical emergencies, 4. Suspicious persons, 7. Building checks, 17. Assist other agencies, 38. Domestic, 4. Accidents, 3. Traffic detail, 27. Motor vehicle stops, 110. Traffic citations, 28, and warnings, 88. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the call to citizens for agenda-related items only. Okay.
Madam President, before you give your president's report, I'd like to call a executive session for a personnel issue.
I'll second that.
Okay.
It'd be like, 5 minutes maybe, we can just meet in the conference room.
After we,
No, now,
now?
yes.
That would be the pleasure of Borough Council. Its motion's been made and seconded. Is there the pleasure of Borough Council to move into executive session to discuss a personnel issue?
I'm intrigued. All right, all those in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
All right, all right, I guess we're gonna go into executive session for a couple of minutes, so.
Mr. Wills and Ms. Stillwell could join us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will briefly go into executive session. I do not expect this session to be all that lengthy, so we appreciate your patience and indulgence.
All right. I apologize that that took longer than anticipated. So I was gonna give a fire company update. I'm actually, I'm gonna let Perry go ahead and tell us about.
So, last evening, Ms. Percival and I met with the executive board of the fire company. Numerous issues were discussed. They have agreed to the financial analysis of their finance records for 2021, 2022, and 2023. All of their financial records, not just records concerning tax dollars that they have received. Will be available for this financial analysis. They are in the process through a financial advisor of correcting all IRS issues and are hopeful that this will be completed by the end of October, beginning of November. Though much of their financial records are currently with their accounting firm, their secretary has made contact with their banking institution today to start the process to obtain all financial statements and necessary documentation. Their banking institution may take 2 to 3 working weeks to accumulate all necessary documentation for these 3 years. We have contact information for our treasurer as to who their contact person will be to obtain the records, set up the financial analysis meeting, and to move forward with this procedure. Due to our lengthy conversation with the fire company's executive board, their total cooperation moving forward, I recommend that we move forward with releasing the funds for the fire department at this time.
Second. Well,
All right, questions?
so, if the fire company submits bills to the council, then we'll pay as we go.
We did not discuss that last evening, so I can't say yes or no to that process.
Well, I believe what we'd be comfortable with is with paying bills, as the fire marshal suggested. They have bills, they need to be paid, we'll pay the vendor direct, until we get the financial analysis underway.
I agree with that.
All right, so any other questions on the motion? Shall we take a roll call vote?
Can you
Clarify the motion
Yeah,
again.
clarify the motion
'Cause I was-
just a little bit, because it's either pay them or it would be an amended motion.
So wait,
So I think the motion should be
so your motion
The
is to
motion was
just,
to pay the bill.
is to release the funds for paying bills, right?
Yes,
Okay,
For paying bills?
for, not or.
four, yes. All right, any questions?
so it's not a check to the fire company, it's
We'll pay the vendors.
we'll pay the vendors directly. Okay.
All right, go ahead and do a roll call.
Mr. Bull,
Yes.
Mr. Sidlow,
Yes.
Ms. Percival,
Yes.
Mr. Swiger,
Yes.
Mr. Costa,
Yes.
Ms. Guy,
Yes,
6-0, 1 absent.
motion passed. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda here is the zoning board. We've selected the members of the zoning board. We had, I would say, on time, we had like 7 people submit that they were interested. So the 3 zoning board hearing members will be Kate Guile, Gille, I apologize, Dina Sweeney, Kyle Palmer. The alternates will be Allison Giannakis and Matt Saunders.
the zoning hearing board members need to be appointed with staggered terms.
Yes.
So we have to select which of the candidates will be a 1-year period, a 2-year period, and a 3-year period. And then once there's agreement on that, the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code says that the appointment of zoning hearing board members has to be through written resolution.
Okay.
So once that information is clear to me, I will prepare the necessary written resolutions, and I'll suggest council will consider those written resolutions for approval at the October monthly meeting.
All right. Excellent.
Can I ask who made the decision on these members?
Scott and I worked together on it, and I don't remember you asking to be involved in that selection.
I mentioned it several times in email when we were all going to discuss this. And I got no response since there was 10 members.
There was no precedence for that, actually. There was no discussion of the police board members either.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next is the motion to appoint Borough Secretary Robert Platt as Open Records Officer. My condolences.
So move.
Can I decline?
No.
We have an executive session.
Are there any questions about this?
Can I just say I'll be very sad to be handing over you the reins.
You live next door.
Not for long.
All right, is that it for the questions? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay.
Mrs. Scott, I have one thing under the president's report. Last month, I gave a figure of what we paid the fire company is $332,000. I'd like to correct that to $270,625. Also, last month, or earlier this month, you quoted an email from January 30th, 2020, when
No,
I
it
was,
was earlier in January, I thought, but go ahead.
January 30th,
Okay.
got the email. When I was president of council, I did not see this segment of my email until you presented it at council and read it. In it, I stated that this information was confidential to council. I further explained that there were many issues with the fire company and that there had been ongoing financial situations with them. In this email, I explained about their older equipment, the cost of the truck, and negotiations with Crozier. The section that you read into the minutes stated, I definitely want to and do support, did not read into the minutes, was I definitely want to and do support our fire company. There's been other emails that I have sent since 2020. I also stated, which was mentioned tonight, in an email on February 24th, we have a mutual aid agreement with local fire companies, having approximately 5 or 6 different companies within 1 mile radius. We could invoke the mutual aid agreement with no cost to the borough. I personally think approaching another municipal government is fruitless and on the lines of putting the cart before the horse. So I wanted to make sure that the public got the entire gist of my emails, not just a section that you read.
I guess I'm unsure how you declare something confidential and tell us we're not allowed to talk about it to other people. I'm just curious because there's been so many things that have gotten out into the public that have been discussed that I guess I'm unsure how that happens, how you've
Well,
been
I
given
know-
that power.
I don't want to get into it, but I know you've shared an email with somebody that was put on the internet, so I don't know what you're.
It was actually forwarded because it was relevant actually to the communication committee.
All right,
But
let's,
thank you.
Okay.
We'll move on. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Scott,
okay.
you are up.
I am very pleased to introduce Mike Fuller from Keystone Lighting Solutions.
Again,
We have, we have been in the process of going through a program to replace our streetlights. And tonight, we're going to get the final information about a streetlight replacement program, the costs, benefits. We've already heard the benefits plenty, but we're going to hear the final costs. And we're going to see how it's in the borough's best interest to move forward with replacing the streetlights. So that's my introduction, Mike.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good to see you all again. We were here in April and I presented a feasibility study showing you the opportunities associated with such a program. At that time, you acted on moving into the design phase, which is what we've been working on. One of the primary steps of that is the audit, and the other aspect is that it's a full design with accurate information that we received from the audit, and that results in what I'm presenting tonight. I do have a couple slides that I'm going to go through very quickly because it hasn't been so long since we've been here, but just to refresh everyone's memory on the program, why we're doing it, where we fit in to the phases right now. So the Regional Streetlight Procurement Program is a turnkey program that DVRPC put together, and it's touched over 70 municipalities up to this point, upgrading streetlights from older technology to LED. The primary reasons that most municipalities pursue these projects is for the operating cost savings. And as you can see at the top there, and you'll see your specific numbers, but generally we reduce energy consumption by 50 to 75%. Similar numbers for maintenance costs because of the much longer nature of LED technology. But these are also higher performing street lights. They really put the light where they're supposed to be on the street, and they improve performance, quality, safety. And they do, because they're more controllable, they reduce trespass going backwards, things like that. And then we'll talk about how they're controllable also as an option to consider with this project. This is the nice thing about this project, unlike paving or other things that you just have to do. You have to spend the money to do this. Here, if you spend the money, you're actually getting a return on investment. And I'll say that the project actually looks better financially than it did at the time of feasibility. And you're going to see that this, after the project's been paid for through the operating cost savings, it actually generates a lot of net savings that can be reinvested into other needs for the municipality. So this is a project that has a clear return on investment. So as I mentioned, DVRPC put this program together to help municipalities that maybe otherwise couldn't achieve the price points that we do with this project or didn't have the technical support to make it happen. So basically, the program covers all the way from feasibility study through the design phase, and then we stay on and manage the project and make sure in post-construction that your PICO bills are updated correctly, all those types of things. So you can see that, as I mentioned, we've already, rounds 1 through 3, you're part of round 4. We've completed, or we're near completion with a few projects right now, but in total over 70 municipalities representing over 50,000 streetlights and 5,500 traffic signals that have lamps that have been upgraded. This is generating over $20 million for all those municipalities over 20 years after the project's been paid for. That's net savings, and it's a very green, sustainable solution in that it reduces energy consumption at PICO and therefore reduces CO2 emissions. And you can see we've calculated 7,500 metric tons have been reduced with these 70 municipalities. It's cut off a little bit there at the bottom, but you have it on your version of the slide. And I'm afraid to even touch this for fear that the image will get disconnected. But you can see that many of your neighbors in Delco have already done this project, many of them very close to you. So Chester, Eggstone, Trainer, you can see the list there. Okay. I think you can see most of the names. So. I do want to mention that this project would be of a size that you would, if you're going alone on this, you'd have to go through a competitive procurement process. You do not have to do that in this case. DVRPC is acting as the procurement agent on your behalf. You're able to piggyback off them via the Pennsylvania Procurement Act, Chapter 19. And so we've negotiated all the equipment costs, all the contractor costs, everything associated with the project. They selected my firm through a competitive process for design and project management. So all that's already taken into account. And by us leveraging that, we at one point kind of gauged ourselves against the market with some other typical projects that went through a competitive process, but this process generated it when we did round two, 18% lower costs than the market value. So you're getting a good price point on this entire project. Okay. So this is where we stand in the program, where you stand, your project stands in the different phases. The first phase is feasibility, second phase was design. So we're at the end of phase two, and the next phase, phase three, is construction, and then phase four is post-construction. 3 and 4 really go together. So the resolution that you'd be looking at would be approving moving on to construction and then post-construction. Okay, so let's look at your specific final project. I'm giving you a summary presentation, but this is a summary of a 40-page report, the final project specification that we've also provided. This looks exactly like the feasibility study. It's structured the same way, just all the numbers have been updated because the audit allows us to know exactly what we were designing to. You have that, but really anything that's relevant financially and savings-wise is reflected in the PowerPoint. So, typically the audits, PICO's fairly accurate, with their PICO bills, never 100%, but they said that you had 115 streetlights. There were some areas that we did identify that we thought that you probably were being billed for lights that were not yours. That turned out to be the case. So we actually found 107 Cobra heads that are within your boundaries and limits. 14 of those are existing LED Cobra heads, so the vast majority are the old technology. The existing mix of what you have is 73% of all of your existing streetlights are 70-watt high-pressure sodium, and I only highlight that because it's a typical number because you have a lot of local roads, mostly local roads. But when I see a number that is a relatively, I don't want to call it a low level of light, but towards the lower end of light, controls are really beneficial because when we put the LEDs in, it's good to be able to have the ability to control them in case there is a perceived, that it's much more light. I mean, we can look photometrically in the analysis that it's going to give you a comparable amount of light, but it may be perceived as more light. And I'll kind of let you know that when I was here before in the feasibility, we presented 3 options. We presented a base upgrade with just photocell control. We presented a manual control option that is a little dimmer switch inside the fixture. Then we presented a more sophisticated network control option. Well, if you remember, you probably don't, but the base solution and the manual controls were actually priced the same because the base solution, it was beneficial for me to put manual controls in because it got me more rebate dollars than it cost to put that manual control in. So what we've done is we've simplified it. The base option does have manual controls in it. So any option you consider of the two have controls in them where either manually or through a network you can control and manage the lights. Okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is just reminding you or showing you what's in the final project specification. We have 107 existing Cobra heads. As I mentioned, 14 of those are existing LEDs. We're going to upgrade, we're recommending upgrading all of those, not leaving those 14 LEDs because we looked at them, they're a variety of wattages, they're not standardized. And since it's a relatively low percentage of the project, and even though those 14 won't give you great energy savings, they are going to give you some energy savings. We'd rather have a completely standardized design throughout the whole community, so your locals are at the same level, your major roads are at the same level. If we kept those existing LEDs, they would not look consistent or be standardized in the design. So you'll see that even by doing that, financially, the project's still better than it was at the time of feasibility. And then, basically I just highlight on the right there that, just to remind you, we keep the arms, the wiring stays in there. We do carry contingency if we find that there's bad wiring and we need to rewire the fixtures, which is usually a fairly low percentage. for these types of fixtures. And you can see that we're using a 23-watt LED on the local roads, and on the collector roads, it's cut off there, it's a 73-watt LED. These are lower levels than we've done in the past in the program, because we've actually gone to a new generation of streetlight, and we jumped from, the term we use is 120 lumens per watt. That's kind of the gas mileage of the fixture in some ways. And now we're at 170 to 190 lumens per watt. So there's been a massive increase in efficiency. So I can do the same amount of lighting that we've done with all the other 70 municipalities at an even lower wattage. Okay, so that helped your project. Controls, again, the manual controls on the left, they are part of your base upgrade solution. That is a little selector switch. It's not, it's up in the fixture. So we set it to the correct level based on the design that we're looking for at the time of installation, so you don't have to do that. But if you ever 2-3 years down the road wanted to go back and change the illumination coming out of that fixture, then you could go back. You wouldn't need a bucket truck, that's why we call it manual. You'd have to go back to adjust that. We don't recommend changing the light levels. We want to get them right at the time of installation. We have a design that's worked well for all those municipalities, and we anticipate it will here also. But you do have that flexibility to go up or down from where it's set. Okay. The network control system, that is a, basically it's a cellular node that replaces the photocell, communicates up to the cloud, and then you have a lighting management system that sits in the cloud that you can access through any browser, and you can go in and see all your lights. You can give reports on your lights. You can manage those lights. You could change the light levels of those lights. Not that municipalities are looking to really do that. The primary reason that most municipalities look at that is if they want proactive reporting of outages or issues going on with the lights. Tends to be something that larger communities do. If you're Tredyffrin and you have 2,000 lights, it's tough to know what's going on with all 2,000 of those lights. The smaller the municipality, the more we find that these systems aren't as beneficial. But it's a great option. We've had some very small municipalities do it, though. I just want to highlight that these fixtures on Edgemont and Woodlot, we think they're LEDs, and they were not included in the feasibility and are still not included. Just wanted to highlight that. A slight change here is we went out and did an audit of your street lights. You only really have the one intersection. You do also have 2 school speed limit signs that we found during the audit. The recommendation really here is that before we were trying to just, skinny down the cost of the project as much as possible. And so there was 9 of those 27 that were considered incandescent. Our auditors felt that there may have been more than that. It's near impossible now to tell the difference between LED traffic signal lamps and incandescent. It used to be the LEDs had all these diodes. Well, now they specifically make lamps that are, they say they're incandescent look lamps. So since you have such a small number relative to the whole project size, I think you should either do the traffic signals all the way and refresh everything so you've got an entire new street lighting system that you're comfortable with, or you just leave those out. Because PECO thinks you have mostly LEDs at this point anyway. That's what they're billing you for. So I put in kind of worst case scenario cost-wise to just do that full intersection and the 2 speed signs. And again, even when I include that, the project is much better than it was previously in the feasibility. So here's a summary of the financials. So the base upgrade, which includes the manual controls, annual operating cost savings are about $6,600. The net project cost after you paid a rebate is about $33,000. This number is lower than it was before, and therefore your payback is much better. It's actually a 5-year payback. The base upgrade with the lighting management system, the network control system, similar savings, slightly less because I have to, with manual controls, I don't get to dim them to the exact wattage I want. I have to sometimes select a slightly higher wattage, but it's still very close. So the energy savings are a little bit different, but the But you can see that the net project cost after rebates is quite a bit more, $64,000. So that's a 10.3-year payback.
Can we stop on that slide for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so this is a very expensive option that I don't think is in our best interest. But this $33,000 is our bottom line cost for replacing the streetlights, okay? And $6,600 would be the annual amount of money that we would spend per year on streetlights. Currently, we budget about $16,000 to pay for streetlights. We would drop $10,000 a year in costs each year would be reduced in just electricity to pay for the streetlights. Is that a fair way to say that?
That number does include maintenance savings also.
Maintenance savings
Yeah.
also.
Yep, that's accurate. And just to be clear, so I do provide a more detailed financial analysis also. And this is many of the same numbers. I just show you what the energy savings are versus the estimated maintenance savings. I show you what all the costs are. What I do want to highlight here is, wish I had a pointer, but the $44,000 number. So that's your initial outlay. Then you get the rebate a month or so after you complete the project, which is the next column over the 11,000. And that gives you the net project cost number that I showed on the previous slide. So I just want to be clear that there is a net outlay of 44, and then you get the rebate to offset that. Okay.
Is the rebate guaranteed?
The rebate is guaranteed. I've already reserved for your project with PECO, and they're pretty flush with money at this point. They're at the beginning of a phase, a 3-year phase, so they've got the money. Okay.
And how about the $100,000?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's, so on the far right, what I do is I calculate the net savings. So after 20 years of the savings number, less the net project cost, that's a net savings of $100,000 that is generated over 20 years, and that can be invested in other items for the municipality. Okay.
So that's money not coming out of liquid fuels to pay electric bills and money going into road programs in the future.
But let me ask, in 20 years, won't the technology change and we'll have to redo these?
All right, that's 20 years from now.
It's,
Well,
we
if you're
are,
projecting 20 years saving, I'd like to know if the technology will change and that 20 years will dissipate, it won't be applicable.
there's two reasons. Well, no, so this is all compared to your current baseline of what you're using. If you were to stick with the old technology, that energy cost would be the same. Many people that do these types of projects, they put in a price escalation for future energy. We don't do that. And that would make your savings look even greater if you were to do that. But basically, if you stay with the old technology, it would be the same. And then with the LEDs, you're jumping in at a point and they're going to stay set at that level for the 20 years. I mean, the technology you have now is like 30, 40 years old. So, and the other question about that is we're getting to the point where people that are, looking at energy efficiency projects, they're getting tougher and tougher payback wise, because as the efficiency goes up and the wattages come down, there's less energy to save. When I get you to a 24-watt LED, maybe 10 years from now it goes down to 15 watts. Well, that's not enough to justify a replacement. So this is really the best time to get in, because it's just like, there's not much more savings. You can't bleed that turnip or bleed the rock or whatever the metaphor is. So, okay. So I did want to talk about liquid fuel funds and just be perfectly clear on, if you choose, we're agnostic how you approach it, but these are projects that are, most of it is eligible for liquid fuel fund utilization. So just a couple points here. Under equipment qualification, the overheads that we use are on Bulletin 15 with PennDOT. Okay, so that's the qualified list. That's the first bar that you have to pass. All the traffic signal lamps are also on the PennDOT Bulletin 15 qualified list. Photo cells and network control nodes, the things that would go on the top with the two scenarios, they are not qualified. So I have to back out that cost. You'd have to pay that for those with general funds. What I should also put there that I didn't is, since you're not financing the project, you also can't include design fees, project management fees. It's just really your construction contract, material and labor, less the photo cells for the manual control option. So if you want to use liquid fuel funds, you can use the amount that's material and install costs for qualified equipment. And the one little catch though is that if you get a PICO rebate, the state of Pennsylvania feels like you got a discount on your material and labor, so we want that money to go back to the liquid fuel fund account. So you got to reimburse it. So based on that, at the bottom, I did a little kind of side analysis for you with the base upgrade. If you were to use, so the number I'm not showing here is if the material and labor total amount is like over $35,000. So if I back out the photo cells, what's eligible is $33,000 that you could use liquid fuel funds for. But then you have to put that rebate back into that bucket. So your net utilization is not $33,000 of liquid fuel funds. It's only $21,948. So I just wanted to be clear on that. And that means that the difference would have to come from general funds. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how that works with liquid fuel funds. And then finally, under the financial side, I think this is the last financial section before I wrap up. But just so everybody's clear on the equipment warranties, with the project, you get a 1-year material and labor contractor warranty. Okay, so that's parts and labor. And that starts on the date of the substantial completion invoice that we give you. So when they're completed with the primary scope of work, they give you an invoice, and that's when the 1-year warranty starts with Armour and Sons, who is our program contractor. But then there's also, on even overlapping that first year, you have manufacturer equipment warranties, and you can see that the Cobra heads have 10 years. Not all these apply to you. I'll just highlight the Cobra heads apply to you. The photocell controls are 12 years. If you did the network control, those are covered for 15 years, and the traffic signal lamps are only 5 years. But these are very long warranties compared to the older technology that you're using. The current, if you were to buy one of the older technology fixtures, which really aren't too available anymore, you'd only get a 1-year warranty on that. So next steps are, obviously I can answer any questions that you have. The resolution that we have assisted with, the template that we've used for all the municipalities, that would advance you to phase 3 and 4. And then after that, there would be staff management is authorized in the resolution to sign the installation services agreement or the construction contract. That can occur. As a matter of fact, it needs to occur after the resolution is passed. But then once we have that, we go right into pre-construction, which the first step is we order materials. That's about a 4 to 6 week lead time. We have a pre-construction meeting a couple weeks before we start to make sure everybody's comfortable on the logistics. And so if you were to pass a resolution tonight, that really puts us on the time frame of starting in late 2023 with the project, and it would complete in 2023 also. Rebates and things like that and final billing, that may kind of carry over a little bit, but the duration of your project is only 3 to 5 days. So once we get materials and I've already got it set in my mind that we have 5 municipalities in round 4 that you'd be one of the first 2, if not the first project to start, just because you're the first ones to consider this. So, and I want to get through all these relatively smaller projects before we have 2 really big ones, and I wouldn't want you to sit for months, waiting for those to get completed. So, yeah, so all the streetlights would be, based on that timeline, would be installed this year. So, any questions?
Real quick, is the 3% construction cost included in the amount of money that would come out of general fund?
The 3%?
I noticed that there was a construction cost additional to this.
Yeah, so that number, that's DVRPC's program fees. They get 5% of any fees that we generate plus 3% of construction. That would not come from liquid fuel funds. That would come from general funds.
Is that on top of the 9,262?
No. No,
That's included.
it's include, all the numbers that I've shown you
Okay.
include those percentages.
It's 5%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, the construction cost is 3%. Yeah, they get 5% on our design fees, yeah. But construction cost is only 3%.
I do have a quick question about more the product
Mhm.
rather than the financing. I was in media and they actually have a light that is, I'll call it pleasant, because it seems like most of the blue's been blocked out, which does cause people with night vision problems, issues. Is that a possibility for our, it looked almost like the sodium ones, like that nice orange glow that's more based in the red.
Is that for their streetlights, their Cobra heads?
It was streetlights, but there were a few in the Cobra heads, but there were also a few in the, I don't know what you call them, the ones that look antique.
Yeah, those, so media was in the first round of the program. And I believe they would have gone with a warmer white light for the streetlights. They did not upgrade their decorative lights. As a matter of fact, they're looking at doing that in round 5. So those are they may look very yellow because they're high pressure sodium. But if you like the look of the streetlights, that actually, I'm glad you brought that up. A final specification that we need to figure out is what color temperature that you want. It doesn't have any impact on price, so I haven't, I didn't want to confuse the issue with the project financially, but that is a selection that you can make. You can either do a 4000K pure white light, or you can do a slightly warmer, I don't want to call it yellow, but we call it a warmer white light. And that's probably what media did.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
this
could
was
verify for you.
almost new.
Yeah,
I'm not debating it. It was like,
Yep.
it was something that changed recently up there.
oh, okay.
It would be helpful to know what towns have what so that we
Yep.
could, take a turn.
I could give you a complete list of, that's one of those details that, that's why there's a step between the resolution and the installation services agreement. Because in the installation services agreement, I give you all sorts of additional tables that attach to the contract, the construction contract, like the bill of material, and so we'll specify things like color temperature and all that. But all those Delco, I can tell you what their color temperatures were, so you could go look at that.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm good. Can I ask you a question, if I may? Like.
Yeah.
Poles, we have probably, it's either 7 or 8 that are completely rusted out. That would be the responsibility of the community. There's that in.
Yeah,
Right, that's nothing that you're going to do.
right. Are they Pico poles or are they owned by the municipality?
They are owned by the municipality.
Yeah, that is not in our project scope. We're very focused on a 1-for-1 head replacement. Theoretically, we could factor that into the project. I mean, there's contingency, and then even if beyond contingency, you wanted to do something.
Park Valley is where I'm talking
Yeah.
about, that whole stretch. They're in pretty poor condition.
Yeah.
We've been talking probably the last 4 or 5 years of replacing those, trying to find a way to do it, which this would be a way to do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, the contractor that we're using to do this work, they do that type of work also. So we would just have to specify it. And what I'd recommend is that if you're going to take action on the project tonight, that you do that, and then I could prepare a change order for you for that specific scope that you're looking for.
But I don't see that you're gonna be able to put, the light on these poles.
Are they operating right now?
Some are, some aren't.
Yeah.
Unless when I fixed it, since I was gone for the couple months I was gone. Well, just as an FYI, the contractor that did our beacons is the same contractor that will be working on this project, right, Armor.
Armor and Sons out of Langhorne, Pennsylvania.
I think the change order would be in order, would be appropriate. Is that liquid fuel eligible, the poles?
If the poles meet the standard of 19, I think is it pump 19 now? 15?
I'd have to check on that.
Yeah, I don't know the number offhand, but there is publication that says these are the poles that you need to utilize.
Okay, so we can use those poles and that would be eligible for liquid fuels. Okay.
You
So
have to do,
can your two offices work together or?
Sure.
I've walked work with Mike before.
Yes. Yeah, I would just, if we could pinpoint where and how many, I will just tell you up front, pole replacements are much more expensive than head replacements.
Yeah.
So, but I'd be happy to work with Lisa to figure out where, and then I can price up. What kind of poles are they? Are they just aluminum?
They're old metal poles that were
Okay.
put in the 70s, I think. When was when Park Valley was done?
50 years.
And I'm
49
going
years
70s because I
ago.
think I was in high school. when
Yeah.
it was done.
49 years ago.
There we go.
And when you're replacing these heads, if you come into problems with wiring,
Yes.
will that be a change order?
What we do is technically, yes, we have a change order, but on almost every project that we do, we put in sufficient contingency, which is in the numbers I already showed you.
So you build it into the price?
We build it into the price. If you don't use that contingency, you get that money back. That's, we don't find ways to spend that, but that's specifically what we put it in for, is rewired.
Anybody else from council have questions? Does anybody in the community have questions? Okay, I would like to make a motion that we,
Gonna turn on the lights?
Maha, can you get the lights please in the back corner? No, in the back.
Here we go.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that after we receive rebates, we spend $21,948 from liquid fuels and $92.62 from the general fund to replace all 107 street lights, the traffic light, and the two speed limit flashing signs.
The traffic lights were not done that long ago. They were done through Signal Services, they're LED, and we pay Signal Services to do that. So it's in like $2,800 a year.
So, the advantage of doing them with this project is that it's all wrapped into one, and we don't have to think about the street lights, the traffic signal, for, I don't know, 10 years.
We don't have to, they're already LED, and we have to, by law, we have to have Signal Services as like is it an engineering company?
It's a
like a
signal
TOT.
maintenance company, but I might suggest to you that that signal is ending its useful life. So there are ways that we can look at getting an upgrade to the traffic signal that would probably be in the best interest of the community. We've looked at it before. There's an NRLE grant. There's grants out there that are 80-20 matches for new signals. I would suggest too, I know that those lights were replaced. Initially, it was just red and green because that's what's on the longest. That's how you get about a 67% decrease in costs when you do just red and green. That's what was done first, and then as they blew out, the yellows were replaced.
You have any comments, Mike?
We're fine taking out the speed signals if they're fairly new. When we do audits, we can't necessarily tell the age of them. So, for ease tonight, if you wanted to approve the project and then we just remove those as a change order, we can do that, or you can pass the resolution removing those now. I'm fine however we do it. But Lisa, your comments are for the traffic signal, the intersections,
That's correct.
because it's just yellow lights on the speed limit signs. I think they just
Yeah,
flash.
The school zone.
Yeah, the school
Yeah.
zone, those two. Yeah, those are the two that we were talking about taking out, correct? Or am I understanding, it's just the school zone ones you're talking about that are new?
No, I'm talking about the traffic signal
Oh,
lights
okay.
are part of our signal services contract. And the speed lights, I believe they were just replaced, weren't they?
Oh, so you're suggesting taking out all the intersection related, the traffic signal lamp related?
I mean, it's somewhat redundant. It would be wasteful if we're already under contract to take care of them and they've all been replaced. So we can realize the savings there and it can go to some wiring. I don't see why that would be a bad trade-off.
I believe that the speed limit signs, the school speed limit signs were not renewed. One thing that we've done that's new is the new beacons that we put up there flashing right out front here.
Yes, so, yeah, the only other comment would be is Pico believes, which is what we use as a baseline for what you're paying currently, they believe you're not 100% LED, but you're mostly LED. So you're correct that what we have in the project, what's calculated in there, is there's not a lot of energy savings associated with it. It was more of a concept of just having a refresh. But if you're saying they recently have been refreshed, the fact that they're under contract, I look more at the age of the equipment as to whether it's worth doing or not. But again, whichever way you want.
So how old do you think it should be if you were to replace? What would you, without knowing when it was replaced, how old would you say it should be replaced?
Well, LEDs, if the incandescents don't even last a year, so if there are still some incandescents in there, which Pico believes there are, but maybe the bill just wasn't updated, they don't even last a year in most cases. But the LEDs, if they're even 5 to 10 years old, they're probably a different generation and probably, only have, they even installed new, they have like a life of maybe 7-8 years. The ones that we have, they have a 5-year warranty. Manufacturers usually will 2x, they expect to get at least 2x of the life over the warranty. So we'd be expecting more like 10 years life out of the LEDs we put in. So I can't guess. If they were replaced in one shot, all at the same time, then we could probably pinpoint what the date was. But if they were just done over time as the incandescents burn out and they put in an LED, then you've probably got an average age. You've got some that are newer, some that are probably close to the end of their life.
I was more interested in the street light side of things, not the school zone traffic. I mean, if that's a point of safety or contention, that doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, now let's leave those on the project.
No, I was just gonna say, since you're gonna do a change order later, I can call Bill Dunn in the morning. I have numerous things to talk about with Bill Dunn for another project that I have and see what records they have of the replacement of any of those lamps, see where we are. But the traffic signal, I would suggest to you that we pursue something to replace those signals at that intersection.
So you're saying do the LED replacement, or you're saying,
No,
you're
she's
saying the
not-
physical?
Do the whole fixture.
You want to get a grant?
She's talking about doing the whole casing and
I'm not
everything.
talking just the lamp.
Right.
I'm talking the entire structure of the traffic signals
Right.
themselves, the poles,
So wouldn't pay to,
loops.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't do a loop now, you don't do loops, you put radar in. So we've had numerous problems with loops, et cetera. I think it's time for us to start looking. I've been here probably close to 25 years, 28 years. That signal was old when I started here. So it's about time to take a look and get some new traffic signal equipment in.
All right, so we'll leave the traffic signal off.
All right, and then you'll pursue that as part of your engineering
Yeah,
process.
I'll look at that.
All right, so we take
All
the,
right.
so we take,
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I didn't understand you were thinking of the whole replacement, so yeah, if that's something
Yeah,
that's
makes sense.
pending, sure, makes sense.
Okay, so streetlights, no traffic signal, but the two 15-mile-an-hour flashers are in.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
that's my motion. I don't know what the cost is anymore.
Yeah, it's 4 lamps.
Second.
All right. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes, no.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Sidlow.
Yes.
Ms. Percival.
I'm thinking. Yes.
Yeah, we don't seem to have it.
Ms. Swigert.
Unanimous.
Yes,
Godspeed.
is it me?
you,
Yes.
Ms. Guy.
this guy?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. 6-0.
So motion passed unanimously. Okay.
So, I guess Mr. Wills is whispering in my ear that we need to, I thought we were just approving that motion. That what I moved was this second
No, no,
bullet
you
point.
need to do the resolution,
Yes,
right?
the resolution
Oh.
is going to be required in order to participate in phases 3 and 4 of the regional streetlight procurement program, so.
Okay,
And again, I have circulated that resolution to everybody earlier this week. And again, that is a necessary component of this contractual relationship. So if it is the pleasure of council, a motion would be in order to adopt the resolution. Again, authorizing the borough's participation in phases 3 and 4 of the Regional Streetlight Procurement Program administered by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. And do we need to read the resolution?
No,
We don't need to read, oh,
that's
man.
a couple-page resolution.
Man,
But I think.
Jay got in as many whereases as he could.
y'all don't want to hear it? All right, I think we're gonna vote without reading it. No questions. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
Mr. Fuller, thank you for all the work you've done.
Yeah.
Thank you for your continued work throughout this process. You're going to make a great improvement to our community. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I look forward to working with you on it.
Thank you.
Good job, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you, council. I appreciate you voting in favor. I think this is going to be a great improvement for our community.
Are you done?
It's finance report now.
Oh, it's finance report? Okay. Then we go back. All right. Ms. Bull.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, the Brinker Simpson Treasurer's Report for the Borough of Parkside, date September 14th, 2023, meeting September 20th, 2023. All bank accounts are reconciled through August 31st, 2023, except for the Sharon Bank escrow account and Green Tree, which are basically statement accounts. They don't change. We are including the bank reconciliation and statements for all reconciled funds for council's approval. General fund for the month of August, $44,923.35 was deposited into TD Bank, and expenses of $4,191.51 were paid. In addition, $246,000 even was transferred to the Pliget General Fund account during this period, which is an interest-bearing account. $40,968.36 of deposits were received into the Sharon Bank General Fund, and $199,255.19 of expenses were paid, including payroll of $71,720.63. In addition, $125,000 was transferred out of Sharon Bank and moved to the Pliget General Fund, which again is interest-bearing. Below are the bank balances per the bank statements for August 31st, 2023. General account, Sharon Bank balance, $591,820. $1,000,000.04. General account TD Bank, $128,621.99. General account Pliget is now $372,166.25, which actually earned us an interest of almost $1,000, which was $939.56. The rest are de minimis accounts. I will make the motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, council. I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, I own the bills and I abstained from check number 4019, which actually was the payroll check for myself in the amount of $112.82, since there was a problem with the payroll. It was an individual check.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for making us aware.
So I said all those in favor. Anybody opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. The tentative workshop is now up for discussion. I think we should stick with next Wednesday, 7 p.m., 9/27/23. But there have been talks that we had a conflict.
Oh, with
so-
the
Donna has a
treasurer.
conflict.
Our treasurer. Yeah, we need to run those things by her too.
Yeah, I
It
can't.
was in the meeting last month.
I know, but I don't think we made sure she could make it before then, but, what, you have a conflict with another borough that you would do their meetings?
No, I'm just not available. I have a personal engagement that
Good for you. That's all right. Boundaries.
I mean, it's a workshop. I mean, I'd love to have you present, but I mean, if you
I
had a
can-
report,
Yeah, I
it's
can
still up
send
for
the budget.
councils.
I
You
can
know,
send you the budget on Monday. It's pretty much done.
It's very, it's a tentative type thing. It's up for discussion. We're gonna have a few more of these and we kind of keep it moving. So rather
Yeah.
than move the needle for a ton of different people.
And then we don't have to advertise it. So, what about our other budget meeting? Are you able to make that?
Well, I'm in Italy from October 20th to the 31st.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm just hungry now.
Can you take me with you?
Mr. Bull, what time Wednesday?
7.
And Mr. Wills, does this not need advertised?
All budget meetings need to be properly advertised.
What, did we advertise at the beginning of the year? No?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, if we haven't advertised yet, then I think we should do it when Mrs. Stillwell can be there.
Yeah, I would agree with that if we haven't
So
advertised.
Tuesday or
It was,
Thursday.
it was discussed months ago, so it is a workshop. However you choose to proceed is fine by me, but bottom line, it's been discussed and we're getting into budget season. We've had significant changes with everything in our finance department over the last year.
I think
All
we're
more
talking
reason.
about moving it one day to Thursday, right?
I'm out of town on Thursday.
All right, then Tuesday?
Tuesday, fine.
All right, we need to advertise.
Doug, are you okay with Tuesday?
Do Tuesday, but we're definitely getting short on people actually knowing about it. It's 5 days away.
Is 7 o'clock?
Would you be ready to have with budgets and things?
Yeah,
like
I'll
Does it
send
work
it.
for you?
The budget's pretty much done. I just have to review it and send it.
Okay.
I'll try and send it Friday.
So we're looking at tentatively 9/26, 7 p.m. to have a budget workshop. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. I'd like to move along to the open space. We definitely have had a few trees that did not leaf out in the spring and have been trying to get suitable, they need to be abated. There's community and municipal ash abatement programs out there. I think we might fall underneath of the threshold for that, but we have a good solid 7 dead ash that really have points of targets and propensities to fail. So I'd like to keep that in the forefront of everybody to, I think we're still getting some numbers, but it is going to be a cost coming up.
Ryan and I took a walk out in the wood lot so that he could show me all the trees, and I met with one tree guy this morning. He says he's not going to be able to give me a quote yet, and we're still working on getting me with another one so that we have 3 solid quotes. And yeah, apparently ash trees dying is a problem across the board. According to this tree guide, there's some beetle that's killing all the ash trees, and
Emerald ash borer.
yeah, that's it, emerald.
And then it's
It
an
was the
invasive
buzz. Yep.
bug that came in. Michigan. 20 years ago now.
I don't know, but it started showing up in PA like 5 years ago, so
All right, and with that, I will report general progress.
thank you very much.
Bob, you will advertise the budgetary meetings.
If I get it into our 4-1, it'll probably be paper.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to junior council, Mr. Costa.
So the junior council is back for this year, and better than ever. Just a couple of updates. I was talking with the junior council members about possibly choosing some kind of area they're interested in the government, and possibly working with either a council member or an official to learn what they do and, to try to understand how the local government works in that area. So we'll be hopefully discussing that moving forward, and they can start, getting a sense of a particular area they're interested in. Also, I think Brianna wanted to give an update on her project idea that she had brought to us in the spring. Give us a little bit of an update on where that's going.
Yeah, so before we split for the summer, I introduced the project, and it'll be like a business spotlight for businesses on Edgemont and Parkside. So today we reached out to some businesses like Jeannie Beans, Ashabi's, and State Farms, and they said they'd be willing to contribute to the interviewing process with us. So hopefully soon I'll be reaching out to Phil and Jim's, Razor's Edge, Clark's, Fix-Fi, Tony's Tailoring, Chili's, and then New Level Nutrition. And again, this is totally free. No money is needed from the borough to do this project. And then the next phase will be interviewing. So hopefully once we get all the information from these stores and businesses, we can start that process. And if anyone knows of any small businesses or online businesses in Parkside, you can let us know. We can try to contact them.
There are some. You can even find them by going on Google Maps, people's houses. Thank you, Brianna.
All right, I think that's all we have for junior council.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Michael? So when Daniel did this project in the springtime, we had asked you about putting a plaque together so it can put up at the garden. Have you been able to do that yet? Somebody had questioned me about it, and I might have asked you about it.
I didn't, to my knowledge, we haven't discussed that, but we could certainly discuss that moving forward and try to figure something out.
Okay, recreation, Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank all the volunteers that came out to Community Day and helped make it a fun day. We had a few hiccups, but we got through it. The families, the kids all had a great time, and that's all it was about. It's a beautiful day. Our dancing dinosaur was jamming with the kids. The kids enjoyed themselves between the field games, the moon bounce, face painting, and the character guide that was there. Wanted to thank all the vendors that came out, the families for coming out and enjoying themselves, the girls that came from the Honor Society, our junior council members, and the young man Logan who came. He left before I can fill out any of his paperwork. I'd like to give a special thank you to Catania Engineering and Brinker Simpson for your donations that sponsored the moon bounces. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I'm happy to report also the young Girl Scouts were there, and they recruited some girls to be part of the Girl Scouts. Our next event is movie night. I brought it with me. October 7th. The Recreation Committee looks forward to seeing the residents come out and enjoy the night. As it was said before, what's better than laying on a blanket, eating popcorn, watching a movie under the stars? Next month's meeting will be October 4th at the Borough Hall at 6:30. We'll be making, finishing touches up on the movie night. Also, October 28th, Recreation is going to join forces with the fire company and do the trunk or treat this year. We'll be out there between 4 and 6. Come out, join us, decorate cars, there's sign up geniuses if you want to participate. And then, just a reminder, we have a Facebook page, and that's just for updates on the events. It's Parkside Recreation Committee Bulletin. And then if you have any questions, suggestions, concerns, please email us at parksiderec19015@gmail.com. And if you don't have access to either one of them, you can also look at our Parkside official borough page. Correct, Stan?
Website, yeah.
The webpage. And then, again, volunteers are always welcome. That's all I have.
Yeah, do you have a time for the movie night?
Six.
6:30. Yeah, it's starting to get dark then.
And most importantly, do we know the name of the movie?
Yes, it's Perry's movie.
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
Why is it Perry?
Because he looks like Rick Moranis.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I guess we're moving on to Mr. Costigan, Police Public Safety.
Yes, so I don't have too much to update about police. Things are pretty much the same as they've been the last couple of months. All of our shifts are being covered. So we do have now 2 of the 3 part-time officers that we hired have completed their training and they're now patrolling shifts on the street. And that's really all I have for police.
General progress.
General progress.
Okay, Scott, ordinance.
Okay, tonight we are, last month we advertised the improvements to the ordinances on occupancy parks and recreations and peddling and soliciting. And tonight we're going to move forward with adopting those motions.
This ordinance has been thoroughly discussed at previous meetings. It is a 5-page ordinance, so I don't necessarily recommend we read the ordinance this evening.
You're letting me down, Jay. All right.
Do we have an ordinance number?
I'm going to tell you no.
Okay. Could you tell us that tomorrow?
I will for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I move that we move forward with ordinance to be determined number.
I just took it off my bulletin board today.
What?
The ordinance.
Oh.
I had it posted on my bulletin board ever since.
Oh, yeah, for advertising it. All right, so you're making the motion.
I make a motion.
No one to be assigned.
Second.
All right. Any questions? Let's do a roll call vote, just for kicks.
Mr. Bull?
Yes, just one quick question with the chief. We did strike taking jailable offenses out. And it makes
Yeah.
sense, you shouldn't be
Yeah.
jailed for certain things. But does that also stop you from like, hey, come with us, you're acting a fool, or is that just a different rule at that point in time with their breaking?
No, it shouldn't have any effect on our ability to police any issues that we would come across.
What are you in for? Using a recreation place.
I mean, they had no detention rules out there, and it's leaving people open for
I appreciate it. All right, any other questions? All right, so continue the roll call vote.
Absent. Mr. Sidlow,
Yes.
Ms. Percival,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Costa,
Yes.
Ms. Guy.
Yes, so moved. Thank you.
That's it for ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you, council, for voting that positively. License and inspection report. We had 11 residential building inspections and 1 commercial. We had 2 plumbing residential inspections and no commercials. Well, that's the end. No mechanical, electrical, or I'm not sure what this abbreviation is, but we had no plumbing, we had no mechanical, electrical, plumbing permits.
Okay.
And code enforcement officer. So we have had a very difficult time filling the position of code enforcement officer. As was mentioned at the special meeting last week, Mr. Verdi filled 2 shifts and decided that it was not the job he wanted at this time in his life. We then appointed Mr. Randall Woods to be the interim code compliance officer. And I contacted him the day following the meeting, and we were scheduled to meet. That was a Tuesday. We were scheduled to meet Wednesday morning for him to begin. And then he called me Tuesday afternoon and said that his other employer, Fallcroft Borough, had changed the terms of his employment and that he would only be able to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and not on a floating shift, which he had been doing, including Saturday hours. So the free time he had in his schedule to work, maybe Wednesday and part of Thursday or something like that here in Parkside, fell out of his availability.
I think he went from part-time to full-time. I think he got offered a full-time job at that point, is what I understand.
I didn't quite understand it that way, but the bottom line is Mr. Woods made it known to me after several days of negotiation that he was not available to accept the code enforcement officer position. So that leaves us with a couple of other options. We could hire a firm like Keystone Commonwealth Code Enforcement, which we interviewed. Their prices are higher, but they're a professional organization that does code compliance, although they preferred to not just do code enforcement, they wanted to do all the codes for the entire department.
Inspection.
It's all the inspections. So another option is that we can seek individuals who have no prior experience in code enforcement, but there are courses that are available. It's a 40-hour online course for about $600. The borough could pay that. The borough could ask that the new employee, that a potential new employee bear the cost of that training themselves. I don't think this is a difficult position. It's not like you need to have intricate construction knowledge. You need to know if a smoke detector works or if a thermostat will turn on a heating system, and just basic property maintenance.
Well, that's not code enforcement, though. That's
Well, there's code
use and
enforcement.
occupancy.
That's also, right, building inspection. So we had in the past made that the same person had been the code enforcement officer, and the housing inspector is the term that is most appropriately used. But the training is the same. It's the 2018 IECC property maintenance code that they would need to be trained on. So I would like to suggest that we open the applications back up again, and this time we broaden our search, looking for people who don't necessarily have previous experience in code enforcement, but anyone who's looking for a part-time gig. A lot of people have multiple jobs these days, so maybe we find somebody who's looking for a multiple job, someone who's partially retired or completely retired and looking for a side work. And then we come to some kind of agreement with that person to train them. And I think we could work that out with anybody that we would have. So that's my suggestion of how we move forward at this point.
Is there a reason, I mean, the list is growing, and to start from fresh with someone who is not trained or certified, is there a reason why we cannot look at other municipalities or maybe Catania Engineering? It's an interim position until the new year. Lisa, do you have
When you say
something?
look at other municipalities, what do you mean? Like borrow theirs?
Well, if their code officers are part-time, and I'm not sure if Catania Engineering has somebody available, the list is growing, and there's no need to wait another month or 6 weeks.
That's the list right there. It's about 7 items.
Let me tell you what we usually tell our municipal clients. We have municipal clients that we do code
Right.
enforcement. But what we have told all of the clients when they come to us and ask us is they're better off if they find somebody. Quite frankly, I think it works best if you can find a police officer, somebody in that kind of position that understands how to de-escalate situations, so they know how to talk to the public. We have actually, we did it in 2 municipalities that I know of, where they hired somebody. We had our code enforcement officer go with them, explain everything to them, what they would need to do, and then would check on them. Like, once he felt comfortable that they were able to do the job, and maybe check on them like the next 2 or 3 weeks. At least it's something that, that you could think about doing. But it's too expensive for, like Scott said, our fees are too high to have a code enforcement officer come in and do a job 4 hours a day or 4 hours every 3 days. You're better off if you can find a resident here that has some kind of background, and like I said, retired police officers work really well. I don't know if there's any around this, not necessarily just in Parkside, but in this immediate area. And they understand how to write a citation, how to write a violation, and talk to people that, hey, you're doing, look up on the door, this is wrong. You need to get it straightened out, because I really don't want to give you a citation or a warning letter. That's the first step that our code guys do. And then they move on to a letter of violation. And then if you don't do it, then it's a citation. But I think if you can find somebody like that, there's ways of getting them trained.
And we
So
do
I-
have a resolution on the books with, that constitutes the qualifications of a code officer. I believe it's 1825 or 1826. I don't have a copy with me tonight.
Okay. Well, to further answer your question, I reached out to Jim Jeffries, who is the head of codes in Media Borough.
Yes.
And he said that we are not alone struggling to find someone who is qualified to do code enforcement, that he struggles to find someone. It was a lengthy email. I apologize for not forwarding, but Jim Jeffries had no one to refer us to, and was not surprised that we were struggling with filling the position. So
There's neighboring communities, maybe we could touch base and say, does your code officer wish to come here for 2 hours, maybe twice a week? I mean, there's ways to work this out other than starting fresh with training, and we've never paid for somebody's training. We don't pay for our own inspectors to keep up their certification.
I'll look into that with our other boroughs. That's a good suggestion. And it's actually something that, has crossed my mind, that we need part of a code enforcement officer. People generally want to work full-time. So if we could find other boroughs that between us, we needed one code enforcement officer, that would be ideal.
So we did sort of try that, in that, I had Bob send an email to all the code enforcement email addresses in Delaware County. I don't know how many you sent that to, 20 or so? It was lengthy. So we did kind of reach out in that way in the last 6 weeks. So I won't say we fully tried your suggestion, Mrs. Percival, but we have certainly tried that to a certain extent. So I will also say to Mrs. Catania's point, I know you don't like that.
Well, that's my mother.
That's your mother, I know.
That's the problem with that one.
Ms. Catania.
Ms. Catania.
To Ms. Catania's point.
Young Catania, young Ms. Catania.
We do have, Bob forwarded to me this morning an applicant who is a former corrections officer
I
or
believe
former
so, yeah.
probation officer, who is interested. So, she called me back this evening, just before this meeting. I asked her to call me tomorrow. So someone, as you're describing, has at least expressed interest. I did not look at her resume originally because there was no experience, but I think it's worth a phone call to talk to her. And anyone watching on camera, anyone in the room, if you have any kind of interest in a part-time job, please get in contact with office at Parkside Borough.
And you'd be in high demand, apparently.
And again, if they don't have their training, we've never afforded to spend that money to train somebody, more the time factor.
Well, let's
This
negotiate.
is already September 20th, and we've only got a couple months left to the year, so.
I think we should see what we get and let's negotiate.
Okay.
Okay, because this list is not gonna get any shorter with nobody in the position,
You
so,
bet.
let's give it a try.
You're up again.
I'm up again, okay. Okay, so, we've had a long meeting tonight, and I do not want to spend a great deal of time. On Monday night, I did a webinar or a Zoom meeting, and that has been recorded and is on the website. It is a 10-year improvement plan for improving this building. That includes replacing the air condition that's not working in the office, and some consideration for the air conditioning unit not working, serving the caucus room, the bathrooms, and the hallway, and just a much broader plan for how to improve this building over time, because as a council, we just wait for something to fail, and then we scramble to try to get it fixed real quickly. What I'm trying to do is organize the community's planning for as long as 10 years into the future. So if council, you have not had a chance to either see that presentation or look at the report, I had asked Bob to print that report for this meeting and has not unfortunately been reproduced. It's okay. So I'd like to really defer the conversation of the air condition to the budget meeting, because between the trees that need to come down and the streetlights we just spent money on and the air condition needed to be replaced, I'd like for us to discuss what our priorities have to be and should be. With the air conditioner need to be replaced prior to the spring of 2024. And then we have to decide, do we want to do two systems or one system? And, in my presentation, I talked about the system serving the hallway not really being occupied spaces and the priority of that improvement. But I don't want to go into that conversation now. Let's leave it for the budget meeting or for next month's meeting. So if you get a chance, please look at my presentation. I'd appreciate your time on that, and as well to the members of the community, please take a look.
Yeah, I did watch it, Scott, and you put a lot of effort into it. You explained things very well. And at the end, he does sum up, but basically, if you watch the whole thing, he explains each part that he then summarizes at the end. So appreciate your hard work on that.
Thank you. So
And also on Theo for spending your night doing that.
Will we get a copy of that in the next week or so?
if you could make that available.
Just send a link.
Yeah, I sent the link on yesterday afternoon around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And it's also, just go to the website, Theo has made it very available. And
The YouTube, yeah.
the YouTube video, and there's also all the documents that I used in my presentation.
Oh, yeah, they're on the website.
Are on the website. So the report, it doesn't matter, it's all up there, so take a look.
I have a request.
You trying to figure it out? I'm happy to answer any
No, I'm
questions.
sorry, I was talking to Mr. Costa.
Weather's getting nice.
Yeah.
Over the next 10 days, looks like low 70s, high 60s. Can we maybe take the air conditioner out so I can open the window?
Yes,
During the day,
yeah, I'll come by,
if you don't mind.
I'll come by and take care of that.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right. We're done with you for today.
Okay.
All right. Rob Powers is not here. Apparently, he's not going to give up the seat, but he's not going to come here and participate.
Mr. Daly's here.
What's that?
Mr. Daly's here.
And Mr. Daly's here. Did you want to bring anything up? I'm sorry, we didn't introduce you before when we did roll call.
I don't have anything, progress. Right
Okay,
now.
general progress?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So moving on to Ms. Percival with recycling.
Thank you. For the month of August, we had 109.35 tons of regular trash and 23.86 of recycling, which is pretty much average.
Thank you very much. Mr. Swiger, communications.
For communications, we're looking at our next newsletter coming out probably early to mid-November.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have all the pictures and recount of the community day. Hopefully we can squeeze in the trunk or treat and other fun events. The next meeting for the communications committee will be Tuesday, October 10th, 6:30 here at council chambers.
Thank you very
I
much.
sent an email out concerning some corrections to the interview of Officer McEwen. Will that be put in the newsletter and online?
Mr. McEwen was not terribly concerned about it, but I'll talk to him.
I think it would be nice to be accurate that he did not graduate from the academy when he was like 12 years old.
We'll get those corrections.
Thank you.
Do we have a tax collector's report?
We do. July 23rd, 2023 to September 17th, 2023. Good evening. Treasurer has received a total of $1,205,460.52 to date. There was $6,508.10 in revenue deposits from July 23rd, 2023 to September 17th, 2023. Regards, Ed Fisher.
Thank you very much. And young Ms. Catania?
Thank you. I think everybody knows how old I am now.
You blurted it
Certain
earlier.
date. I think it was somebody over there did. We'll just ignore that. The only thing that I have tonight that isn't on here is that the Green Waste grant is due next Friday. It is a no-match grant. We do need to do a resolution. I thought I sent an email out today, but Bob doesn't seem to have it, and I don't seem to have it on my phone, so it could very well be in my draft still, for all I know. That's what happens when you're as young as I am. My apologies, it's been a long night. But seriously, I think what my email actually said that if council wants to do the grant, I would suggest that we look at the items that weren't done in West Cole Memorial Park because of the money crunch and consider that a phase 2. It's already designed, so there'll be very little that we'll have to do other than to fill out the online grant application, but we do need to do a resolution this evening.
And I believe that was for either the ADA parking or the rain garden.
Well, that's
That's at the woodlot.
at the woodlot.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's designed as well, but I'm kind of thinking
The West
since
Pole.
they allowed us to reduce the scope based on the monies that we had available, that we continue with that, do it the phase 2 of that to get that project completed.
Can we project a resolution tonight? And have
Yes.
the solicitor draw it up and
It's
get
a
it
template.
signed?
Yeah, we can verbalize that resolution this evening if we wish to move forward with that and then memorialize that in writing at a later date.
And this is no match.
There's no match to it.
There is no match.
So what are the design elements that will be part of the phase 2?
You're gonna ask me that, my brain is like, I know we put the tree in, the lights, we're still waiting on the lights, they're coming in mid-October. And I believe that we were looking at redoing some of the landscaping, some of the walkway, and then the uplights to the flagpole. I think they were the other items that were on there.
Are you prepared?
Yeah, I can memorialize that in writing.
It's a template, Jay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's online under the Greenways Grant application. It's Appendix H, I think. And it's just a matter of typing Parkside
Sure.
Borough in there and what the project is, so.
A resolution number?
You thought that was gonna change?
One more than the last one.
The last 3 days doing minutes. I didn't catch up for that.
So we need one
Pension
ordinance
health.
number, one resolution number, and call me in the morning.
So what do we need to do?
Why don't you stop in?
So to make this easy, what I could do, if council wants to do that project or do the woodlot project, that's up to you. We have the ability to put a note, I just put a piece of blank paper in saying this resolution will be done at the next council meeting and the date of the council meeting, and stick it in that way, as long as prior to them, they won't sign the contract
So the paperwork's done.
till they have the paperwork in it. So,
I would hate
one way or
to
the
miss out on a grant that has no match.
as I would, and I didn't
Yeah.
hear, so I thought I'd bring it up, so.
Thank you.
My fault, because I don't know where that email went. It's in cyberspace somewhere.
Or in your drafts folder?
Or in my
That happens
drafts
to me.
folder. I looked in the
You
drafts
can
folder, I
interrupt
didn't
it.
see it though. That's the weird part.
No municipal grant matches are the best grants that are out there, so,
So what do we need to do?
Few and far between.
yeah.
Okay, so,
I'd like to make a motion for Catania Engineering to complete the originally proposed West Cole project for the current Greenways grant.
I'll second that.
are there any questions? Looks like we all agree on free money.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And since I did enough talking earlier, I can report general progress on
Wait,
everything
I'm
else.
gonna ask you, what's going on with Edgemont?
I haven't heard a word about Edgemont. Well, I shouldn't say that. The CFA was supposed to have a meeting on the 19th of September, and they postponed that meeting. The next meeting isn't until November, the 17th of November, I believe is the date. So we still have no answer as to whether or not we got the small stormwater grant.
November?
November 17th.
Okay, so what can we do about these sinkholes in the meantime? Will PennDOT put down some plates or something for us, knowing that we're waiting to find out about this grant?
So I talked to Mike Burns. Mike Burns is the maintenance director over District 6 Maintenance for Delaware County. He is going to try to put some material in the sinkholes, but he needs to have manpower, and that's his problem right now. He has materials, he doesn't have any manpower. So if you want to send your maintenance guys down for some material, he can give you the material. He said he'd give us pipe if we wanted to put the pipe in the ground. But,
Yeah, I don't know that Ryan
we
could handle
can't,
that.
no, that wouldn't be something.
But should we
that's
reach out to
his-
PennDOT to see if they'll put plates down? Because they put plates down in Brookhaven.
They did not, the utility contractor did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's under a highway occupancy permit. They put a trench in, they're required to put plating down, and there's specifics of how they put the plating down, what they have to cut down, make it flush, and then put cold patch around it or hot patch around it.
Actually, just looks like they just threw them down.
And they may have, because they were coming back the next day.
But, so there's nothing we can do except
So,
find somebody to just keep filling in the
Yeah.
hole that keeps falling. All right.
yeah,
It's very frustrating.
Question for the engineer. We have a inlet at Tom Sweeney and Upland Road that has a metal plate over it. It has since, it's been almost a year. Mr. Powers is not in attendance, and he was looking into who created, I guess, a small cave-in on the corner of this inlet. I believe Brookhaven's had some work done there. And one of the utility companies was involved. I'm not gonna blame Pico, but one of the utility companies was involved, and nobody is like stepping up to say, yeah, we hit it with our heavy equipment. Somebody put a metal plate over it, so we know they had to do a front end loader or something. You just don't, plop them there. But yet nobody's claiming responsibility, and a child did step into the hole. And we reported it. Mr. Powers reported it to Brookhaven, and all of a sudden the metal plate showed up. Do you have any connections with Brookhaven engineer that might be able to tell us?
Other than he's down the hall from me, is that what you're telling me?
That's the one.
It's something by blood, but,
Yeah.
Brother.
I'm just trying to figure
I can
out.
ask the question, but
Yes.
in all likelihood, if it's a utility, it probably wouldn't go through
So Not-
our department.
that plate has a label on it. So I was driving, I turned left where that plate is, and there was a utility crew working there, and I stopped and opened my car door, and I said, the plate across the street, is that part of what you're doing here in the island? And they said, no, that's not part of what we're doing, that's somebody else. And then one of the guys walked across the street and saw the plate, I think it said PennDOT or somebody else, so there's a name on that plate. So we gotta call whoever's name is on that plate.
I believe that PennDOT put the plate there. Years ago, Ms. Catania will remember, that's the same inlet at Tom Sweeney and Upland Road that PennDOT corrected. It was caving in on the one section. And PennDOT did come in and correct that situation for us. So it's the same inlet, same corner.
Now, let me talk to, let me talk to Mike Burns. and see
Thank
if we
you.
can
Thank
get
you.
it done.
Okay. So now we move to a call to citizens.
No, you missed Mr. Wells.
I did. I'm sorry, I'm checking you up. Sorry,
Quite all right.
really didn't mean it. I'm too tired.
Madam President, and a most good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The solicitor's report for the month of September is as follows. Number one concerns the right to know all request. Again, my office continues to work diligently with the borough's open records officer in responding to multiple unabated right to know all requests, including appeals before the Office of Open Records. The borough is in the process of transitioning to a new open records officer, and that process has gone very smoothly and flawlessly, thanks to the collective efforts of Councilman Costigan and Borough Secretary Platt. Two, the Parkside Fire Company. Again, over the past month, I have engaged in multiple telephone conferences and written communications with the solicitor for the Parkside Volunteer Fire Company in a good faith attempt to resolve our present difficulties, to reach common ground, and expedite a comprehensive review of fire company finances. I'm pleased to report that we have made tangible progress, but perhaps not at the speed at which we would all have liked. Third concerns Parkside Terrace. At council's direction, I had initiated an investigation with the Delaware County Board of Property Assessments and the Delaware County Recorder of Deeds Office to ascertain title and ownership to the thoroughfare known as Parkside Terrace and its adjacent parking area. I inadvertently misspoke at last month's meeting when I announced that a search of Delaware County Courthouse records failed to uncover any deed of conveyance of Parkside Borough to, or strike that, of Parkside Terrace to Parkside Borough. To the credit of our youthful borough engineer, who has refreshed my recollection. A deed of dedication and quitclaim deed transferring certain property rights were filed more than 20 years ago. Again, transferring property rights to the roadway bed of Parkside Terrace to Parkside Borough. As a result thereof, the borough is invested with certain property ownership responsibilities, including snow plowing, road maintenance, and resurfacing. The borough is also authorized to regulate traffic and parking at Parkside Terrace. The borough, however, has no ownership or maintenance responsibilities as to underground sanitary or stormwater sewers, inlets, or culverts. Next item on my agenda concerns 2901 Burden Road.
So bottom line is, we do own it.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
that is the bottom line. 2901 Burden Road, the property owner through their insurance company has asserted a property damage claim against the borough as a result of a borough tree that purportedly fell, causing damage to the neighbor's property and specifically their fence. I'm working with the borough's insurance company in its investigation and possible resolution and adjustment of this claim. Fifth concerns a code enforcement officer vacancy. At council's direction, I had prepared a legal ad for publication and a comprehensive job summary, including responsibilities, qualifications, and skill set for the vacancy existing in the Office of Code Enforcement Officer. Six concerns the upset tax sale by the Delaware County Tax Claim Bureau. My office recently calculated and prepared a list of all outstanding municipal lien amounts for all borough properties that are scheduled for the upset tax sale to be held by the Delaware County Tax Claim Bureau. These are delinquent properties that are scheduled for tax sale, basically tax delinquent properties. Many of these properties also have outstanding municipal trash fee liens and nuisance abatement liens. And again, these are liens that the borough may recover at the time of the tax sale. Seventh item on my agenda.
So do we have homes that homes are gonna be transacted because they're missing taxes to us?
Yes.
How much taxes?
It requires a minimum of 2 years of unpaid property taxes. Again, that's pursuant to the Pennsylvania tax law. If a piece of real estate goes unpaid for their taxes for a period of 2 years, it is subject to tax sale. However, the property owner may in fact enter into an agreement with the Delaware County Tax Claim Bureau for a repayment plan. And so long as that repayment plan is accepted by Delaware County Council and the tax repayment plan is faithfully abided to by the taxpayer, then the tax sale will be deferred.
And how many houses is on that list?
There was approximately 6, I believe, that are subject to tax sale.
And then people realize it and they get it fixed.
Generally at the 11th hour,
Okay.
the people will come in when they find that their property is exposed to tax sale and they may be divested of ownership rights. Oftentimes, people somehow find the money to come in and pay the property tax. It is an incentive, right, to obviously pay your property taxes. If you don't, again, you are subject to divestiture of the real estate. Next item on my agenda concerns the borough's fire protection, suppression, and rescue services. Again, at council's request, my office prepared an RFP on behalf of the borough soliciting proposals from qualified volunteer fire companies to provide fire protection, suppression, and rescue services for its residents and businesses. Again, the solicitation does not obligate the borough to move forward with contracting out for such services, but simply provides the borough with some information to make an informed decision regarding alternate emergency services providers in the area. And then finally, 8, again, the resolution for streetlight procurement program that we forwarded, or strike that we passed today. My office finalized that resolution, again, for our participation in phases 3 and 4 of the regional streetlight procurement program, again, administered by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
That was good, that was 10 minutes. That was excellent. Thank you.
Can I ask questions?
What?
Can I ask questions?
And you butt in there, all right, so, all right, so next on the list is call to citizens. I invite you to come up to the podium. If we could put a microphone somewhere near so that, you know, we capture their voices. You can write your address on the paper. You don't have to say it aloud because it is broadcast on YouTube. Maybe on your table, Chief? Oh, good, it stays up there, good, all right.
Sheet only asks for a name.
What?
The sheet only asks for a name.
Oh, the sheet only asks for the name? Oh, okay. If anyone would like to get up for call to citizens regarding non-agenda items.
Hi, Judy Saunders. I won't say my address. 2 things. Lisa was not able to come today, but she is restarting her food drive on October 2nd. And this specifically, and she's posted this on pretty much all the social medias, is hygiene items. It's for the homeless. So if you're able to do it, please contact her and she will make sure that she stops by your house and gets it. And the second thing is I contacted Michael. I know you did the one garden for the junior council members. I thought there were supposed to be 3. So I was wondering if maybe somewhere in the budget we could get some sort of plaque that would stay with each garden. If you, I don't know how much it would cost or how much you want to look into it, but so it's not just the sign stuck in the thing, that we actually have a plaque showing what each garden is dedicated to.
I think there was some conversation going on over there earlier.
Okay.
I did, Judy did email a few weeks ago, and I'll make sure that we look into it, and get something more permanent.
Like we could ground, fundraise for it, but I wasn't sure if you would need 1 or 3.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I guess we could just start with the one, and then if we do another garden somewhere, then we could do another plaque from there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Minnie Domenico. Just 2 things for the firehouse. This weekend, they're having a fundraiser of a craft fair and flea market all inside, if anybody wants to stop by. And in December, we're looking at doing breakfast with Santa Claus. We'll have more information then.
That's great.
Sorry, I have a long last name.
I got something. Yeah, put my face on the camera first.
Turn it towards you there.
I got, for the last year or so, we've been collecting email addresses. And I was wondering if we can put them to use, because I know you had an issue with sending group emails because you was getting flagged for spam.
Yeah, so do we have any options with the provider for our website?
No, but there's like email marketing campaigns we can use that can send large groups of emails. Some are free, but it's limited to like once you get to more than 500 contacts, and you gotta pay monthly for the service. But it's between like $12 and $20 a month. But it's just suggesting, because with winter coming up, like what if the mayor got an issue of snow emergency or something, or
Absolutely.
like the guy that got out of prison, you need to get a mass message out to people, email. Not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram, but everybody has an email address.
Like
We can-
MailChimp?
Yeah, MailChimp, that's what it is.
Well, I know Michael looked into that and there was a great deal of pushback, because I guess there were concerns that of ownership of the emails, so, what's that?
You're giving me terrorists.
Am I giving you flashbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to look into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got two more. This one's for the chief.
Yes, sir.
I noticed the website is not up anymore. You need some help with that?
I didn't know it was not.
Yeah, I can't
Right
find it,
here.
the
Okay.
police department's website.
Right, I'll look into it, see what I can find.
Yeah, if you need some help, I'll offer my services.
We'll reach out.
Okay.
Very good.
I got one more for the junior council. I know you don't get questions much. It's not a question, it was more so a request. Like, I want to put you guys' presence on the website. Like, I don't have any information of you on the website, and I know it's going to look good in a college resume to have that there. So if you guys can send me a bio, anything you want to include about yourself in the picture, and I'll create a profile page for you on the website so you can have it. It'll stay there even when you're going, so you can always point. Sorry, I need some water. Point someone to the website and say that you know. So it's proof, because it'd be easy to verify. They could just go to the website and say, I served on junior council back in 2022, 23. So if you can send me that, I'll create a profile for you guys. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There's, Mike Daly, there's two programs existing right now on emergency communication alerts through the 911 center.
Okay.
One's run by a program called Everbridge, and I'll forward the documentation. I've been in several classes with it. The other program is active, and you have to sign up for it. It'll notify your phone, your home phone, your email, however you want to get notified. Delaware County Emergency Alerts. This exists already. It's on the 911 center's website. I didn't realize you weren't aware of that. And I didn't realize we're trying to email people with community information. The Everbridge program allows for the email communication or phone messaging of community alerts, not only emergency alerts, but community alerts. Trash is not going to be picked up on Tuesday. It's going to be picked up on Wednesday, so forth and so on. And it's very jurisdictional. It's municipality based. You're a municipality coordinator can access the system and put the alerts out for a standard block. You can narrow it to 2 blocks in the community, to the entire community. The only thing you cannot do is exceed your borders.
All right, great.
Under those-
I'd like to learn more about that.
I was aware of some of that. Is the one you're talking about, is it free? Because the ones that
Delaware
I looked
County
at
Emergency Alerts is free.
for the borough, for the municipality.
Yes, that's for anybody who wants to sign up. And you provide the documentation that you want to be alerted on. The old house phone, the cell phone, the email, however.
Can you send me that information?
I'll work on it. And the
Appreciate
other
it.
one is the Everbridge. The county's providing that. It's a little more intricate, and it's controlled by your designee or the police chief or whomever. It's literally community-based. He could, if he's having a search pattern for a fugitive, he could close 2 blocks of shelter in place. You know, you have an accident on the main thoroughfare and there's a chemical leak, you can do that too. So I'll update you with that information.
Wonderful. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We put out the Delco emergency alert information, I think about 2.5, 3 years ago. And a lot of our residents did use it or sign up for it. I know I did. And it's a good system, and it's free.
Yeah, absolutely. The moment the 911 center says, you know, huge snow alert coming, you're gonna get that alert in
It's
the
a good
next.
system.
Yeah, it's great. And I didn't realize you couldn't communicate with everybody, but I'll talk to the chief and Theo about the Everbridge program.
Okay, anybody else for call to citizens? All right, let's move on. We have your old business signing authority for borough secretary. What do we need to do on that?
Go to the bank.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I
All right.
think we took care of that last month, didn't we, Bob?
I know.
Oh, I haven't got.
All right, and then new business, we have under here, accepting credit cards, and, Donna, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we want to have a system in here that we can accept credit cards. So we're trying to work with the bank to see what we can get in here that's not going to cost a lot of money. So if somebody comes in, they don't have cash, a lot of times. Contractors, people that have cash, they can pay with a credit card.
Yeah, and, or just pay on their phone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of options, but unfortunately with credit cards, they do generally charge like a 3% fee, so.
Yeah. So
It's
we're
like a
trying
scanner
to
machine, right?
work on that, yeah.
It's like a scanner machine.
Well, not even a scanner machine, just that, Bob could send them a link, and then they could just go to that link and pay there. So there's, and yeah, like, anybody can get one of those little square readers, but they always take their cut. And approval of MMO, that's yours, Don.
Yeah, so, we received the MMO, for 2024 that needs to be approved and signed. So, I have it here, and I think you got a copy of it. So the MMO for 2024 is 154, the market value is 167. So we recommend that we approve, the 167 for next year. So that would be line 10, and that needs to get signed by council president.
And that's an increase of like 30,000 from last year.
Right, well, and that's really, whenever there's full-time officers, their pension expenses will.
Of course.
Because of the hiring of the additional, obviously, our pension obligations will also increase. So that is not an unexpected increase.
And we did receive the contribution from the state, which was like 13,000 more than we had budgeted, so it came in at 23,000. So our output for pension from the borough is like 104.
And so basically you just need me to sign this, do we need?
Yeah.
to
I
sign
would,
this?
I would ask that
Make a
the
motion.
council president to put it in the form of a motion.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to commit to pay the minimum municipal obligation based on market value of $167,245 for our police pension fund.
Second.
Are there any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Your authority, Donna.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Can I just have one more thing? I'm sorry. If anybody, I did send an email about budget items, so I'd like to get at least a draft of the budget to everybody on Friday. If there's anything additional, Chief gave me his information. If anybody has anything they want to add, I know Councilwoman Percival and the engineer were communicating about a possible project. Also, if I can have your road program for 24.
I highly doubt with the liquid fuels expenditure that you'll have.
Not for the end of the year. We had money for the end of the year to cover the liquid fuels.
For salt and issues?
Well, we get the funding again in March, right?
April.
April. All right, so, I don't know if you want to budget for 24.
You just reminded me, I need to send a letter to the county because we have County 8 sitting out there. If we don't ask them to defer it to next year, we'll lose. So I've got to get that letter in. So should we lose the money for the plants?
Donna, did you get the email? I requested a new line item be made under the police for the mayor's supplies.
Yes.
Thank you.
Was there a motion on the table, Ms. Percival?
That was me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Good meeting.
Very good. All your agendas.